Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Welcome back to Primetime Local News. A little bit of technical difficulty heading into the weekend, but we are back with news, weather, sports, and more just in time for our fall season to come to an end.
Yes, that was very shocking. We were all, celebrating because Southern Alberta got it and we were fine in Edmonton and here. And then this morning, wake up and nope. But at least it's all gone now.
Yeah, almost gone. There's still some moisture left over, just nothing in the form of white powder. Of course, that is our question of the day. What was your first reaction when you saw that white powder hit the ground? First, let's go out to Eric Bay, who was on location earlier.
Thanks, guys. Well, today we are here at the Legacy Center and we are talking about understanding the senior brain, which will be happening right here in a few days' time. Now, understanding the senior brain is not just for seniors' brains, but again, it's kind of helpful to everybody here. You can check it out a little bit, talking about that mental health aspect and also providing some strategies to help promote that good brain health. So we're going to have some more, again, here throughout the show talking about that, understanding the senior's brain. But before that, we're going to head back into the studio and take a look at your local news.
Wearing an orange shirt doesn't usually have much significance, but today is different as it's Orange Shirt Day, a day which is meant to educate and raise awareness about Indigenous residential schools and the impact left in Indigenous communities across Canada. Our Jasmine King has more.
Orange Shirt Day has been running since 2013. The history of residential schools is known around Canada, but the real impact it had on Indigenous communities isn't as widely known.
Orange Shirt Day is a day in commemoration of the survivors that went to residential school. And it started when Phyllis Webstad went to her first day of school wearing an orange shirt. And when she arrived there, she was stripped of her orange shirt and she never got her orange shirt again.
More specifically, they want to educate younger people about the significance of the day so they will take this knowledge with them as they grow up.
It's important not only so that we take responsibility for the past, but like I said, also to help build a future where we remember our past but use it to create something better instead of just ignoring it.
Also to help people who have went through this know that they're not alone in it. So they have, with reconciliation, so that helps that too.
The Public School Division had presentations at a few schools to help explain the history of the day to the students.
With the Lloyd Public School Division, we've had Orange Shirt Day displays at every school where we have 2 staff members doing presentations, myself and Cheryl Thomas, and we would deliver the teachings and educate.
A few students at the Lloyd Comp run a group called Small Fires, where they talk to younger students while also helping them feel more comfortable when they change schools and as they grow up.
It kind of provides them a sense of belonging, and it doesn't only help the younger kids to feel welcomed into the community. It also helps us to kind of deal with the effects of colonization and stuff like that to help ourselves also feel more welcome and kind of put into place into the community.
They also had shirts available with a saying in Cree.
In Cree, it says, "Kichetaksuak hawasak," which means, literally translated, it would be all children are sacred. And a rough translation to every child matters.
Jasmine King, Primetime Local News.
Students at Holy Rosary High School took part in Orange Shirt Day today, and this week's Beyond the Classroom, students participated by handing out orange cookies and teaching the importance of the Orange Shirt movement.
The importance of the Orange Shirt movement is to better understand the history of Indigenous people within Canada, which wasn't widely talked about in years past.
I was just speaking to a coworker who said 2 years ago she didn't realize that residential schools existed, and I believe it. I come across that a lot in our school systems because we weren't taught it coming through school. We're just now exposing what has happened. So it's very important for people to understand where Indigenous people come from, why things are the way they are for Indigenous people, and just understand that.
For the students, it's about showing support for Orange Shirt Day.
Showing respect to those who have attended and died in the residential schools.
When asked what students should take away from Orange Shirt Day, Cynthia Young had this to say.
I always tell students, if you believe you know the history of Native people, you should go back and reacquaint yourself, because things have had a big turnaround in the last 5 years.
To understand the history of Indigenous people in Canada, you have to want to learn about it.
They have to want to learn what really happened, and it's hard on a lot of people. We have a lot of farmers out there that are sitting on land that once belonged to Indigenous people, and it's hard for them to accept the fact that what they believed isn't what's really true. And it's a battle that goes on with them, and they have to come to terms with that.
The best way to get involved with the movement is to simply research the history of residential schools within Canada and how far the reconciliation process has come between Indigenous and non-Indigenous people. And that's it for this week's Beyond the Classroom.
You can now expect smoother takeoffs with the runway now being complete at the Lloydminster Airport. The project started back in 2012 and ended up only taking 2 weeks longer than originally expected. With this new paving, passengers can feel a lot safer with less bumps on the runway.
Basically, it's a smoother, safer surface now. Doesn't make any difference in the amount of aircraft. We could still handle a 737 here. It just makes it easier for them to land and less chance of having any damage.
The airport did run into some issues keeping up with Transport Canada standards, but with some minor upgrades, the airport is back to full force.
Yeah, we brought everything up to the 5th edition now. So we have our all these new lead-in lines and just changing out some lights, stuff like that. So in your regulations, we have to turn around and make sure that all the slopes are good on the edges of the runway too once we're done adding 4 inches. So we're all up to code now. So
more upgrades will be coming to the airport with new walkways already city approved. Now we're going to Eric Bay, who was on location earlier today.
Once again, we are back here at the Legacy Center, and today we are talking a little bit about understanding the senior brain, and Patrick Lancaster joins me now, and now talking about that, understanding the senior's brain. Can you give us a little background, I guess, as to what the event will be talking about?
Well, we are very happy to be bringing back Gary Anaka, who is a teacher and educator who has a very good understanding of how the brain works, and he'll be sharing some information with seniors about how the brain works and some different ways that they can take care of their brain so that they can enjoy a better quality of life and better mental health.
And now you guys did have him here last year, actually. So can you talk maybe, I guess, the response from the community and I guess why you guys did want to bring him back?
Last year, as part of National Seniors Day, we had Gary speak, and the response from the community was fantastic. People loved hearing from Gary. We had a lot of folks that were like, oh, I missed the event and I really wanted to come out, and just a lot of buzz. So we opened up the event, we invited Gary to come back again this year, and we met with the same reception. The event is already booked to capacity, and we're very excited that so many seniors are going to get to see him again this year.
And then once again, you mentioned about that mental health component. You guys are talking that. So what is some of the stuff, I guess, he's going to be kind of focusing on during his presentation?
Well, the first half of Gary's presentation focuses on understanding the mechanics of the brain. So he does a bit of a lesson plan around how the brain works, how the different parts of the brain works, and even gets into the anatomy of the different parts of the brain. He'll then follow that up with some different strategies of different things that seniors can do around diet, around activities, and even mental exercises that folks can do to enjoy really good brain health.
All right, thank you for this, and we're going to have some more from back here, but before that, we are going to head back into the studio.
Thanks, eBay. 1 degree. Yikes, that's a little cooler than you'd like to hear around this time of the year, but that is our reality. Fortunately, that was enough for the snow to start melting by the time we got into the afternoon, and now all you're seeing is a little bit of minor rainfall and plenty of wet ground right across the city. Cloudy, of course, those conditions will continue over the next 24 hours. 30 and -9 were your records in 92 and 99. Fun fact for 1992, George Brett, former Kansas City Royal, 4 hits in one game got him to 3,000 hits on this day back in 1992. He was the 18th player ever in the history of baseball to accomplish the feat. He definitely didn't have to deal with these sort of conditions where you have heavy cloud cover over Lloydminster, especially heading out into the Battlefords as well earlier this afternoon. Some minor cloud cover in some other areas, but also bringing with it a little bit of snowfall. Though, again, that is largely melted away at this point. +5 in Meadow Lake, 4 in Cold Lake, 4 in Athabasca, 11 out by the mountains in Jasper, and out on the Sask side, Melfort's at +2, Prince Albert at 3, and Saskatoon is also, like us, just over top the freezing limit. 4 degrees in Cold Lake and in Meadow Lake. North Battleford's at 2 degrees. Saskatoon, they're saying it's +2 now, not +1, though there's a chance of some snow there. +4 out in Edmonton. Again, largely cloudy conditions. Then your 3-day forecast, only a little bit of sun later on at tomorrow with a high of 4 and a low of -2. Then 8 and a low of -4 on Wednesday, with a fair amount of sunlight expected there. So while it's not super warm, it certainly will warm up quite a bit from today. Then 10 degrees on Thursday, a low of -1, a little bit closer to your seasonal average, but still not quite where you'd like to see it. Fortunately, a couple more other days right after that will be similar in terms of both wind speed and in temperatures. We'll have a look at that later on in the show.
Prime-time local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Welcome back. Well, for 20 years, Diamond 7 Meats has been providing quality products for both customers and regular orders. Eric Bay has more in this week's BioClean Business Bio.
Diamond 7 Meats has seen a large growth since it began with 1 full-time employee in 1999, expanding to include customers spread over 200 kilometers around Lloydminster.
The last 20 years ago when we started the company, it was myself, one full-time employee, and we've grown it into a staff of about 18 of us now. Our original store is located in Maidstone. In 2003, we bought the Lloydminster location. Coming to Lloydminster, just a bigger base, bigger clientele, servicing a wider area. We find we have regular customers probably for a 200-kilometer radius around Lloydminster that we see on a very regular basis.
Now, Diamond 7 Meats provides custom orders for those bringing in livestock or wild game, as well as offering retail meat for customers.
We offer a little bit of everything. So we are a custom processor, so producers can bring an animal live. We'll process them from live through to the finished package product. We have a small retail selection in our store. We do a lot of custom cooking of roasts and briskets, pulled pork, different things like that. We cook for a lot of caterers.
With hunting season kicking off, Diamond 7 also handles Hunter's Harvest, creating 30 different kinds of sausage.
Guys will have us skin it. Some guys will have us do all their deboning. We do a lot of sausage making. We treat everybody as an individual, so at no times are we mixing anybody together with anybody else's wild game. We've always maintained the value of everybody gets their own stuff back, and that holds true right through with our wild game processing as well.
Wild game can also be turned into hams and 3 separate kinds of jerky, among other things. And that's this week's BioClean Business Bio.
Business Bio, brought to you by BioClean. Call the Bio Team, 1-833-246-8326. The Disaster Specialists.
After the break, we'll have your egg report. Welcome back. Well, professional bull riding has become more mainstream, and as it has grown, the people providing the bulls have continued to diversify. Eric Bay has more in this week's Ag Report.
Macy Louise first got into working with bulls through her partner, and today she trains bucking bulls here in Canada for the PBR Tour.
My partner, he works with the wild hogs and he's always at every event, and I just kind of got into it at home, wanted to know more about it, and I just ended up loving it, so it's good to be able to do a part of it.
July's Canadian Heritage Classic held in Lloydminster included a ladies' futurity category where 2-year-old bulls from female stock contractors bucked with a dummy strapped to their backs, with the best bulls taking home the prize money. Louise says competitions like the Classic are a great opportunity for women in the business.
It's a good deal, everyone joins in, and it's great for the women to be able to come here and have something to do with it basically, and get out there. I mean, I love helping out at home, so it's great for that, you know, be able to do something with it.
Not just an old man's game either. Lane Scory has been a contractor since he was 16, and at 23 years old, he has already sent a few bulls to the World Finals.
Well, my dad always rode bulls, and he started raising them when he was young, and we've been in it for 35 years now, so basically since I've been 16, I took it over, and it's been kind of my baby ever since.
Scory had 2 bulls place in the top 5 of the futurity, including 73 Bob Rock, the #1 bull, which netted over $21,000 in prize money for first place. Eric Bay, Primetime Local News.
This Ag Report is brought to you by the Lloydminster Co-op Agro Center. Depend on them for product, tools, and expert advice. Shop at your local Lloyd Co-op Agro Center with branch locations in Lashburn and Neilburg.
That's all for Ag. Sports is next. This past weekend saw skills on the ice combined with awareness for mental health. The Boundary Battle of Alberta hit the ice at the Civic Centre on Saturday, and our Evan Kenny has more.
The Boundary Battle of Alberta took Lloydminster by storm on Saturday. Former NHL players started the festivities Friday night at the sold-out Bobcats Night of Champions.
I mean, anytime I can come back and support the community, I love doing that, and I always enjoy coming back.
Corey Cross was joined by 14 other NHLers, including the likes of Theo Fleury, Mason Raymond, and Rob Brown. Combined on the ice, there was over 5,000 NHL games played, but it wasn't just NHL stars on the ice.
Been a Flames fan since early 90s. It's quite a long time. And yeah, so we're really excited to play some of the names that I've watched on TV for years. It's nice that it's going to something really meaningful and going to make a big difference.
The Boundary Battle of Alberta included an autograph session with the players, games, auctions, and an after party to add to the on-ice performance. When Steve Cassidy and Malcolm Radke started planning the event, they didn't know how big it could get.
I was able to kind of play a kid there and kind of sit back and say, man, if I was showing up to this, what would I want to see that day? And I think we nailed it. And Project Sunrise, specifically the branch of this, is a project called Game Plan, which basically targets youth athletes in our community and the mental struggles that they can come in, the pressures on ice, off ice, and obviously in all sports, not only hockey, right?
In total, almost 3,000 tickets were sold, with all proceeds going towards Game Plan. Game Plan looks to educate athletes, coaches, and families on mental health, substance abuse, improving well-being, along with other aspects. Evan Kenny, Primetime Local Sports.
And now we're going to Eric Bay, who is on location today.
Once again, we are back here at the Legacy Center, and today we have been taking a look at understanding the senior brain, which will be going on here later in the week. And Patrick Lancaster joins me once again. And now, obviously, the title says senior brain, but this is actually open for all ages, and it's something that everybody can take a little something away from, right?
Definitely. We've got folks that have signed up for the workshop. They might have older parents. They might work with seniors. The the topics that Gary covers in his presentation are something that can be relevant to all of us. He speaks about the mechanics of the brain, the anatomy of the brain, how it works, and some of the strategies that he presents speak to diet, exercise, activity, mental exercises, and these are things that we can practice at any age and to the benefit of having better brain health.
And you mentioned there how he goes into those strategies and all that, and you've actually taken in the presentation yourself. So can you tell, I guess, what somebody can expect if they do come to this and check it out?
The first portion of the morning is really dedicated to the mechanics of the brain. So Gary talks about the anatomy, the different parts of the brain, a little bit how they function, and a little bit of how the care of the brain works. Then we will have a brief break for lunch, and in the afternoon the focus is more on those strategies around building good memory, different tips and tactics that we can use to sort of mentally take care of our brains.
And now again, obviously a big focus on this was mental health. That was kind of the reason that this was brought up. So if anybody does want, maybe to learn a little bit more, get some more information from you guys on that mental health topic, how can they do so?
If they want to drop us a email at fcss@lloydminster.ca, we'd be happy to link them up with our newsletter where we put out information about the different workshops. They can learn about ones that are coming up, particularly if it's around mental health or preventative social services. We also tend to include presenter notes in our newsletter. So if someone missed the presentation and wants to get the notes that Gary gave us around his workshop, we typically include those in the newsletter. And for those that attend, they'll be able to get their notes there too.
All right, thank you for this. And we are going to have some more from back here again, talking understanding the senior brain. But before that, we're going to head back into the studio.
Thank you again, Eric Bay. Quick look at the next 24 hours. You can see the worst of it has passed us by, particularly in southern Alberta. That storm is now going to make its way through a little bit through Saskatchewan, certainly through Manitoba and into Ontario. They were enjoying some summer weather earlier this past month, many days, in fact, getting into the high 20s for temperatures. Unfortunately, now they are not going to be able to enjoy quite as nice conditions. Fortunately for the Lloydminster area, things start to clear off later tomorrow afternoon and then should remain relatively clear for a couple of days moving forward. You can see another look here. So later on this evening, it's still going to be very cloudy, but as the evening progresses into the morning, cloud cover gets a little bit less thick, and by the time we get into tomorrow afternoon, it slowly starts to move on and will again continue to get less thick as the evening goes, maybe even get some clearing in the evening. A few current temperatures to look at: Marwayne at 2 degrees, St. Paul at 4, Bonnyville at 5, Lac-La-Biche also at 5, Vegreville, Edmonton both sitting at 4 degrees. Nice and cool down in Provost and Macklin, 4 degrees in both Green and Meadow Lake, St. Walburg at 3 degrees, as well as in Maidstone and North Battleford there at 2 degrees. So everyone well below seasonal averages, but just above freezing temperatures, which is good to see considering we had this first blast of snow, that much of it has indeed melted away. Quick look at your national board as well. Vancouver, 14 degrees, which is below average there, but they at least have some sunny skies. Regina, 3 degrees, Winnipeg, 5, Quebec City at 10, Toronto, 16. Again, that will start to drop in the coming days there. Halifax, 10 degrees as the skies are starting to darken, and St. John's sitting at 8 degrees out on the coast. -2 is the expected overnight low for North Battleford. They could get a little bit more precipitation there, though fortunately the wind isn't expected to pick up, so conditions will remain relatively neutral from where they've been most of today. 5 degrees tomorrow, where it still should be overcast. South-southeast winds could get near 10 kilometers, but again, not much more than what they've received over the past day or so. Cold Lake, 4 degrees, dropping all the way to -4, then back up to +7 tomorrow. So that's quite a jump in Cold Lake. Also clearer conditions with a little bit of sunlight. The wind will pick up to about 11 kilometers, but it'll still feel several degrees warmer than other areas in the region. In Lloydminster, a 1 degree down to -2 overnight as the cloud cover again thickens, but it will start to clear off a little bit later tomorrow with a high of 4 degrees. And that translates into a warmer forecast for the next 6 days. 8 degrees on Wednesday, then 10 on Thursday. Both of those days should be relatively sunny. Some covering up again with clouds on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 10, 9, and 12, the respective temperatures. Then starting next week, 12 again on Monday. So all of these days a little bit below average for the highs, but some of the lows are either at the average or above. So again, a little bit warmer and certainly nicer than what our southern Alberta neighbors are receiving. That's it for your 7-day. We'll have more coming up on the show.
Prime-time local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
The cuteness factor was on full display at Ottawa's Sausage Festival for the 4th annual Wiener Dog Parade. More than 100 adorable canines took part, many wearing coats and costumes as they made their way through the Byward Market. The best dressed pup took home a prize, and all the dogs were given loot bags. Now we're going to Eric Bay, who is on location today.
Once again, we are back here at the Legacy Center, and today we have been taking a look at understanding the senior brain, which will be going on here later in the week. And Patrick Lancaster joins me once again, and now obviously the title says senior brain, but this is actually open for all ages, and it's something that everybody can take a little something away from, right?
Definitely. We've got folks that have signed up for the workshop. They might have older parents, they might work with seniors. The topics that Gary covers in his presentation are something that can be relevant to all of us. He speaks about the mechanics of the brain, the anatomy of the brain, how it works, and some of the strategies that he presents speak to diet, exercise, activity, mental exercises, and these are things that we can practice at any age and to the benefit of having better brain health.
And you mentioned there how he goes into those strategies and all that, and you've actually taken in the presentation yourself. So can you tell, I guess, what somebody can expect if they do come to this and check it out?
The first portion of the morning is really dedicated to the mechanics of the brain. So Gary talks about the anatomy, the different parts of the brain, a little bit how they function, and a little bit of how the care of the brain works. Then we will have a brief break for lunch, and in the afternoon the focus is more on those strategies around building good memory, different tips and tactics that we can use to sort of mentally take care of our brains.
And now again, obviously a big focus on this was mental health. That was kind of the reason that this was brought up. So if anybody does want, maybe to learn a little bit more, get some more information from you guys on that mental health topic, how can they do so?
If they want to drop us a email at fcss@lloydminster.ca, we'd be happy to link them up with our newsletter where we put out information about the different workshops. They can learn about ones that are coming up, particularly if it's around mental health or preventative social services. We also tend to include presenter notes in our newsletter. So if someone missed the presentation and wants to get the notes that Gary gave us around his workshop, we typically include those in the newsletter. And for those that attend, they'll be able to get their notes there too.
All right, thank you for this. And we are going to have some more from back here again, talking understanding the senior brain. But before that, we're going to head back into the studio.
Well, unfortunately, I can't read you many of the reactions to them. One, because some of them are slightly less than family friendly. Also, because most of the reactions people sent in on Facebook as to what their first reaction was to the snow were GIFs or memes. And many of them are creative, so thank you. Continue to share them on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Many people saying no, many people just making a face, trying to sprinkle some pixie dust on winter to go away.
Yeah.
A lot of that going on.
Oh, definitely. I'm with every single one of them. I looked out my window this morning because I just had that feeling that something happened during the night, and I saw the white snow on everyone's cars, and I was like, oh my, that's not good. Why?
But again, as we kind of mentioned off the top of the cast, it could be worse considering 4 feet of snow in Lethbridge, which is a record. Basically Calgary, many parts of Calgary were either shut down or at least in difficulty. Lethbridge was essentially shut down as far as the education system is concerned. Medicine Hat had trouble. So we did miss the worst of it.
Yeah.
And it's unlikely, it's actually not that likely we'll get something quite as bad as that much snow.
And it's also funny that it's coming in the south and not the north when it's usually reverse. So I think that's pretty funny.
It certainly is. I know not as funny for those people in the south or the snow removal people who are not equipped to handle that, but I'm sure they'll do their best over the next 24 hours. For now, let's head out to pet of the day rather, as we just did question of the day. Nixon and Duke will kick us off.
Adorable. They're kind of giving that but Duke looks like, what did you just say? But very, very cute.
Jake is up next.
I love that one of his ears is pointed and the other one is curved. Very cute.
Hannah, the kitty cat, is next.
Gorgeous colors that she has in her fur, just super cute.
And Nova is up next. That's a nice photo.
Just an adorable looking puppy. Little big paws for the body, but she'll grow into that. Love it.
And Shadow to finish things off.
Super fluffy, probably nice to stay warm in the fall and winter. Very cute.
And remember, need the pet and need the pet name rather and the pic to win that free gift card.
We want to see your pets. Send photos of your pet and their name to our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram to have them featured on Pet of the Day. Your name will be entered into a weekly draw for a gift certificate from the Pet Pad.